Yo, Benny! I don't think he's home, man. Benny, man, yo. Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm MC Savant from the Cankersaurs. You can catch me on funnyordie.com/Cankersaurs, K-A-N-K-S-O-R-Z, you know what I'm saying? But right now, it's all about Benny TV. Yo, because my boy Benny the Gagoots got his own show. And I just want to give a big shout out to Benny. And in honor of that, I'm going to do a dope-ass freestyle, man. So he's got to figure out what rhymes with Benny. 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 What rhymes with Benny? Benny. What rhymes with Benny? Benny. He's in the Serengeti. He's hunting for a Yeti and he's always on the ready. And Benny's always merry when he's eating his spaghetti. But right now he's in the desert, so his palms are kind of sweaty. His good friend Freddie, he brought him that Ben and Jerry. And Yetis, they love the Ben and Jerry. So Benny caught that Yeti and we all threw confetti. Yeah, Benny. Benny TV, baby.
Yeah, Benny TV, baby. And I'm here with my special guest host,
Kyle Nover. Emphasis on that special part.
and Kyle is a. Tell us a little about yourself.
I was a film student. I studied film for 6 years in high school and college, and I know your son Ryan. That's how I got here today.
Yeah.
We somehow contrived this madness that is now Benny TV.
Yeah, but this is a fun show. This is a show about everything. It's a show about movies, about books. Mm-hmm. You know, keeping print alive is like something that means a lot to me. Mm-hmm. Talking about forgotten classics, movies that are forgotten. And since this is October 2nd, October is like a horror month, yes. Right? It's a horror month, and they also call it Rocktober for like rockin', but it's Shocktober, kind of.
Yeah.
So on today's episode, we're going to, a lot of the emphasis of the show will be on...
we're going to talk about the early monster movies, the early horror movies of cinema. And we're going to go through Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. We'll talk about all of them, and we'll talk about...
a few surprises we have.
We have some surprises that we'll...
And when Ryan comes on, we're going to talk about
we're going to
talk about a superhero who is very... I would consider him like an autumn superhero for some reason. I consider him, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Spider-Man. I see him as like a... like an October type of...
I often think to the end of the first Spider-Man movie when he's at the gravesite and all the leaves are falling. So yeah, I see where you're at.
Which one was this?
That was the first one with Tobey Maguire.
I love that. I love that one. I really do.
That was a classic.
I do. But now, talking classics, let's talk about some of the classic horror films that we're going to talk about.
So we could start from the very, very beginning, from before film had sound, and all that you had was just your kind of imagination. You had to let the audience kind of figure everything out along the way.
Right.
You wanted to put intertitles and really just...
With a piano player. It was usually like a piano player playing music.
Yeah.
Sometimes an orchestra.
Yes.
Depending on the movie.
Yeah.
So what are some of the early horror films?
Some of the early horror films from the Universal side would be Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame. They were famous... excuse me. They were famous because of the main actor, Lon Chaney. He would go on and do his own makeup and deform his face in ways that special effects just doesn't really do nowadays. Now everything would be CG, but he would go in and it was all him. It was just, he had a little box and he would put hooks and stuff in his nose, and when he played the Phantom, he really had
that he had his nose, the upturned nose. That's a classic picture that you see often when you see Phantom of the Opera. They show the original with Lon Chaney with his nose up like that. Now, Lon Chaney was known as the man of 1,000 faces, and there is a movie about him with James Cagney plays him. Mm-hmm. And a very interesting man. He was raised by his parents were mutes, deaf mutes.
Yes, they were deaf.
So he knew sign, and so he was very good in horror. In the silent film era. And then he did go into talkies afterwards. Right?
I'm not sure. He died very right before the sound technology had taken off.
Yeah.
So maybe he did a sound movie here or there. It may not have...
I think he did one. He was working on one where he was dressed as an old woman. I remember that. That's a famous picture of Lon Chaney
Yeah.
dressed as. And then, did you ever see the movie The Man of a Thousand Faces?
I haven't seen it. I heard of it, but
You should see it. You'll like it.
I know that that his parents were both both of his parents were deaf, and when he had married, his wife didn't know that, and when they had a child, they didn't know like maybe the baby would be deaf or not because they didn't have the technology, I guess, back then. So
Right, yeah.
there's a scene, I believe, where Lon Chaney just starts clapping, waking the baby up just to make sure. Oh, okay, I can hear.
Yes, no, that's true. It's a great movie. But Lon Chaney Jr. also, we'll be talking about him today.
Yeah.
And he contributed a lot to
He did.
to all kinds of films.
He was very famously known for playing the Wolfman, but he played everybody. He played everyone, I'd say, short of Dracula, and you can even argue he's
Yes,
in there.
and he played Frankenstein. He did play Dracula.
He played Alucard, but yeah.
Wait, he was he the he was a Dracula that were in that Western one where there was a Billy the Kid, and Dracula, or that was John Carradine.
Yes.
Who John Carradine was an actor who did classic films, and then he would do horror as well. Mm-hmm. And
Vincent Price as well. Another
yeah,
one.
Vincent Price could do comedy. Vincent Price loved to do comedy.
Boris Karloff went the other way. He did horror first, and then he did kids with How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he went from scared kids to here's.
But yeah, Lon Chaney Jr. played a lot of different. He played a lot of the classic monster characters, but also I know him as Lenny in Of Mice and Men, with Burgess Meredith
Probably
as George.
I'd say that might be his most famous
I
role.
believe that was his first acting role.
Was it really?
Also, yes.
I did not know that.
Before he got into doing the horror and the Wolfman. And I think in the beginning he wasn't really hot on doing the Wolfman, but he's great as Larry Talbot.
He's so good.
I just love him in so many different movies. He's played Larry Talbot, and Larry Talbot is just like he digressed into like a very meek. Here is this man who's towering over 6 foot, close to 300 pounds, big burly, and he's so scared and he's so afraid because you have no idea what's going to happen to me when the moon turns.
Yeah.
You know? When there's a full moon, I turn into a wolf and kill people.
Yeah. So I think we're going to talk about a lot of that. We're going to talk about that.
Well, we are. We're talking about it now. We're talking about it now.
I thought Ryan would be setting up.
No, he'll join us in a bit.
Okay, so.
So right now we'll talk.
So did you know that Lon Chaney, Lon Chaney Sr., he was up for the role to play Dracula?
Oh no, I didn't know that. For a silent Dracula?
No, it was gonna be their one of their first talkies.
Oh, okay.
At the time, but he passed away in 1927, 28, something.
Yeah,
like that.
I don't know.
I don't have the exact year in mind, but he died somewhere in between there, between them mastering sound and film. And then when they made Dracula, they got Bela Lugosi, who couldn't speak English at all.
He spoke English.
But at the time he couldn't speak English. No.
So was he dubbed?
No, it was his voice, but that's why when you hear "I want to suck your blood," that's where that comes from, because of his accent.
Yeah, which is great. Which is great. I never drink wine.
Yes.
And I love his voice, the way he talked. I love Bela Lugosi.
Bela.
I would have loved to have done comedy. He said that. And he was in some great. He originally turned down the role of Frankenstein.
Yes, he did originally turn it down because he thought all the makeup and all the he was very character driven. He got into Dracula. He would put himself in a trance.
Right.
And he really didn't think he could do that much with, an undead monster or a reanimated monster. He didn't think.
But he did eventually play.
Yes.
He did play Frankenstein
in Ghost of Frankenstein.
The Ghost of Frankenstein.
Oh,
so
no, one of them.
How did they go? They went from Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, both with Boris Karloff.
Yes, and then
the bride was played by Elsa Lanchester.
Yes.
whom I love as that. And then it was Son of Frankenstein.
Yes, Son, and then there was Ghost. And then
House of Frankenstein.
Bella played him in Werewolf Meets Frankenstein.
Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Yes. That's when he played him.
And there was a House of Frankenstein.
Yes, and
too.
he had a very memorable role in that and Son of Frankenstein. He played Igor.
He played Igor, that's right. He played Igor, whose neck was broken many times. And that was a good role. His acting was very good. So, and I'll tell you what, seeing him acting as Igor and Dracula, and then seeing him in Frankenstein, he was very stiff. He was just very stiff, and he didn't have what Boris Karloff had.
But you know what is funny? He made that famous. Bela Lugosi made that famous. No one else who played Frankenstein before him did that. It was only something that Bela did because the monster Frankenstein was blinded in the story that they were making.
Oh, okay. So, in the storyline of.
So that. Became,
I didn't know that. I didn't know because I remember Bela doing this, and then they do it in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Yes.
Which they do that. It's Glenn Strange who then played the Frankenstein monster.
Which is a great name for a monster. For a monster actor. Also, he made famous the grabbing the cape over your face.
That was Bela Lugosi.
In Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein.
Right. Okay, he didn't do that in the other Dracula movies?
No, he didn't play Dracula that much. He only played him twice.
All right, well, we were talking about Universal Monsters, but we're going to show a clip, and I believe this clip video is a trailer from a movie in the 50s that was considered one of the scariest films of the 50s, made a lot of money for them, and it was the first of its kind. So let's show the trailer and see. We'll talk about it on the rebound.
Definitely.
I tell you, gentlemen, science has agreed that unless something is done and done quickly, man as the dominant species of life on Earth will be extinct within a year. Of the President of the United States, stay in your homes. I repeat, stay in your homes. Your personal safety, the safety of the entire city, depends upon your full cooperation with the military authorities. Yes, cities, nations, even civilization itself, threatened with annihilation, because in one moment of history-making violence, nature, mad, rampant, wrought its most awesome creation. For born in that swirling inferno of radioactive dust were things so horrible, so terrifying, so hideous. There is no word to describe them.
We may be witnesses to a biblical prophecy come true, and there shall be destruction and darkness come up in creation, and the beast shall reign over the earth.
Yes, the earth, the skies above and the seas below, infested by swarms of nightmare creatures, crueler, deadlier than the armored giants of prehistoric eras. Here is a wild, headlong flight into terror, as the desert erupts with the grim battle for survival. Here is a fear-frenzied moment of suspense, as mankind totters before a thing that multiplies faster than it can be killed. Here is a desperate plunge into the black depths of the earth, where human courage challenges the brute force, the slashing jaws, the poison fangs that guard the subterranean nest, where the beast spawns its terrible progeny.
To all units, condition red, drain 267 is the target area. Repeat, condition red, drain 267 is the target area.
Is there any type of gas we could use?
No, we can't take a chance. It might poison the whole city.
And we're back.
We're back, and I suddenly appeared.
Wow.
Now I'm in the
Magical.
I was at Dunkin' Donuts for 45 minutes.
45 minutes?
For 45 minutes.
What were you waiting on?
A Boston cream donut.
They didn't just have it.
No. She said it was in the back, and then I heard a car running. So I guess she went to another Dunkin' Donuts. It's the last time I go to that Dunkin' Donuts, I'm telling you, until next week. It's the last time
45 minutes.
45 minutes.
Did you get anything, a beverage or anything?
Not anymore. I drank it in the wait. Just wanted a donut. All right, so you guys were talking all sorts of early monster movies. We just showed the trailer for Them. It's about them.
Giant ants.
Giant ants, which has been copied and parodied and all sorts. That's been the basis of the giant monster movies, of giant monsters attacking towns, and specifically giant ants. Goosebumps did a great episode on giant ants. That still scares me to this day. And Them is a great example of all these giant monster movies. Lon Chaney Sr., Phantom of the Opera, Lon Chaney Jr. He was the Wolfman, the Man of Wolf.
The best Wolfman.
Best Wolfman. I like Benicio a little.
He's all right.
I like Benicio a little too, just not.
I like The Howling.
Fair.
I will just say real
love The
quickly.
Howling.
I love The Howling, and it is not a Wolfman. It is a group of people who are werewolves. A whole
And then, of course,
town.
An American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, I
And
like
there
that
was-
one.
Oh, there was Werewolf in London that
Yes.
you were telling me about,
That-
which I didn't think was a thing. I didn't believe you.
Yeah, that predates the original Wolfman.
That predates.
That is
wow,
the
really?
first,
Yeah,
yes.
that's the first official
That's the
Wolfman.
first
Is
one.
Werewolf in London.
With Henry Hull.
Henry Hull.
Henry Hull, who I believe was a Shakespearean actor, because when he spoke, his words were so pure and his lines were just so unbelievable. The way he just delivered.
He had an essence to him.
But it's good, and what's good about it, it has to deal with these moon flowers, which do not really exist, but you have to go up on Kilimanjaro or something.
So that's the start of, like, with the lycanthropy in movies of some sort of flower or herbal element used in conjunction with a werewolf.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. That's where it started. So we're talking about the origins, but I wanted to talk about, and having Kyle on the show, this is what Kyle wanted to talk about. So this is what I was like, yeah, you're the guest. I want to talk about this. But Venom comes out this week, and I wanted to talk about Spider-Man.
Okay, all right.
Because I love Spider-Man. Because you should love Spider-Man.
Now,
Venom, and we don't have any pictures of Spider-Man, but I want pictures of Spider-Man. $200. I knocked my mic thing down. I hope that didn't affect the mic, but I want pictures of Spider-Man.
Okay, I want pictures of Venom. Venom looks pretty cool now.
Got a great Eminem song. Venom. Venom.
Eminem, yeah, man.
Yeah, that's the song. It's the Venom song. And he goes, Venom. That's the
So
whole
what-
thing. And then in the end, he goes, Eddie Brock is you, and I'm the suit, so call me Venom. It's like it's like a palindrome. Like you're driving really fast in like NASCAR. And he just goes, Venom.
Isn't a palindrome a word that you could say backwards and forwards? Or is that a palindrome?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that other thing. That is what I said. That's not a palindrome. You're
Yeah.
right. I was wrong.
Okay.
But that's Spider-Man has nothing to do with that.
With a palindrome, yeah.
So Spider-Man was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko way back when. It had nothing to do with the Universal monsters, but it has everything to do with insects.
yes.
Which is the reason why we showed them. And one of the great things of Spider-Man is not every villain, but a good majority of his villains are insect-based or some sort of animal-based. You have Vulture, Rhino, Scorpion, Dr. Octopus.
I love Dr. Rock. And he's almost an insect, really. He's almost
Well, he is an insect.
Yeah.
He's an octopus.
an octopus.
Man, I can't get anything past him. I can't get anything past him today.
And somebody commented
That was on purpose, okay? I don't want anybody to think that was like the palindrome was me not realizing. I don't know.
And I'll give you a good palindrome. Awaxa Moxawa. It is the Grateful Dead's third album. And that's why I know what palindrome is. because everyone said, "What is that word?"
Brian
And it
also
was-
gave the yes, thanks, Brian. We know what a palindrome is. What's the thing that I was thinking of though? Like the like that.
Yeah.
I forget what that's called. That's
aerodrome.
No, that's not what it is. But
Thunderdome.
Spider-Man, when he swings his web, can make that noise. So that's what
All
we're
right,
talking about.
and he swings through. Yeah. Now Spider-Man. Now let's talk about the relationship between Spider-Man and Venom, because now, in the 21st century, people don't really know that there was an association between
They
them.
do and they don't. Most people that do know the association is due to one of two things, other than the comic books, of course, is either the animated series, or which there are numerous, at this point, there's numerous animated series. I would believe our favorite would be the 90s animated series. There's also the MTV one that we've all seen where Neil Patrick Harris voiced Spider-Man, that you weren't really a big fan of.
That's
Right.
kind of CG.
The CG is really bad in that show, but it has really good storylines.
Yes.
Some of the storylines were really good, and the way they did some of the characters were good, but it was really bad animation. I don't think it really fit on MTV.
Yeah. I think it was just too much too soon.
There's
And is that
Spectacular
the one with the
Spider-Man.
eyes where he had big eyes? It was an animated.
I think that's.
That
what
might
you're
have been
talking
it.
Yeah, his eyes were like weird.
Hey, you know,
about. Everything was weird.
no
about
good
that.
on the eyes. Not easy on the eyes.
Bring
you
it
know?
back to the blueprints. We gotta bring this back.
All right, but so Venom. So back to the association. They would know from these shows.
From these
But,
shows and from there's also a couple of video games. They have changed the way they've done in different iterations of the comic how he got the suit, because there
Right.
is an iteration where his father developed the symbiote, which isn't the iteration that we know,
Right.
which is the iteration they used in Spider-Man 3, which was the other way that they would know, because Spider-Man 3 does give an accurate portrayal from the comics of how he gets the suit and how Eddie Brock gets the suit for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. It gives
Because in the comics, it was from the Secret Wars,
yes.
and his suit got damaged, and he got this black suit from Symbiote, which is an alien. They've now gone more in, because Venom has his own comic now.
Yes,
They've gone more
right.
into the actual study of the symbiote. And symbiote's like an alien race that copies things, and there's actually like a leader of the symbiotes who's this very pale guy, kind of looks like the Castlevania vampire, and he controls all the symbiotes.
All right.
Yeah, he's Dracula. Vampire Dracula.
I know what you mean.
Let's call him King Dracula.
All right, and I happen to have issue 1 of Venom.
Yes.
When Venom got his own issue.
was
and
very-
it was
that
a
was very
thick one.
popular.
Yeah, issue 1 I bought at the
And
time.
they've changed it. They've done a ton of iterations of Venom at this point. There's Eddie Brock is the most popular Venom. That's the one that's going to be in this movie and was in the Spider-Man 3, which is he's a reporter who works with Peter Parker, who in many different ways, the way of how he becomes Venom always changes, but it's always Spider-Man had it first, and it went from Spider-Man to him, which seems like that's not what they're doing at all with the new movie.
No, yeah.
And it's just, it goes to Eddie Brock first, and Spider-Man will come on probably in the next movie or some way down the line. Because from what I believe, there is no Spider-Man in the Venom film.
Which is good. They've wanted to have Venom go off on his own.
They're
and be his
trying to
own
build up the Spider-Man universe. They're trying
Yeah.
to they want to make a Black Cat movie. They want to make a Silver Sable movie, which I don't think would really work, because Silver Sable is just the leader of a mercenary group. I don't know how that really works. Black Cat could work as her own movie. They want to make a Sinister Six movie, which I think you should just make a Spider-Man film where the Sinister Six is the villain. Just do Spider-Man Sinister Six. Yeah. Why Sinister Six would have their own movie is kind of weird to me. They also want to do a Kraven the Hunter movie, and they're making a Morbius the Living Vampire movie. Which Morbius was a very popular character on the 90s animated Spider-Man series, and he was in the comics, and you might know him from the 90s animated series that I used to watch.
Yeah,
He
I
was the
mean.
only vampire on the show. Blade was also on that show to hunt Morbius, and he would be played by Jared Leto.
Really?
Yeah, Jared Leto signed on, so he would be
Wow.
in the DC and Marvel universe, one as a Joker and the other as Morbius the Living Vampire.
Wow. That's going to be interesting.
So that would be very interesting to see. I don't really know how they would do a Morbius movie by itself. it would be very different. I don't really like the full idea of doing these Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man. Venom's the only one where I'm like, you can do it.
Yeah, you can
add more to it when you bring Carnage into it. You can bring Kingpin. You can bring other villains into it and use him as a pseudo anti-hero, and then bring Spider-Man in.
Yeah. What do you think, Kyle?
I think that's cool. That would be cool for future movies to build up to. Bringing all the, like you said, bringing all of them in, and then, what is Venom? Venom doesn't have anyone else, so who's he gonna go to? Spider-Man's just, he stumbles upon him one day, and it's just like, hey, help me out. And, I think that'll be cool. I think Sony's shooting for the stars in terms of their Spider-Man franchise, but you know what? They have it. They have it. Good for them.
Their idea is, if they can do it with X-Men, we can do it with Spider-Man. But there's a very big difference between X-Men and Spider-Man, because X-Men has 5 or 6 big X-Men that can be leaders and run their own movie. They haven't done it, and it would be hard to do it almost in the same way that it's hard to do a Captain America movie for a long time. Cyclops could have his own movie. Jean Grey does have her own movie, and Dark Phoenix is a Jean Grey film. They've done 3 Wolverine movies. Yeah. They've now done 2 Deadpool films. They keep trying to get the Channing Tatum Gambit film off the ground. So there is success doing it with X-Men, so Sony sees that as they can do it with Spider-Man. And also, a new trailer came out today, which is the other different way they're branching out in the Sony universe, which X-Men hasn't done, but they did a little bit with Warner Brothers, but a little differently with DC, which is Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse, which is the animated Spider-Man film, which comes out Christmas this year, or the week before Christmas.
An animated Spider-Man movie for national release.
For a national release, and this film is a super collider in one Spider-Man universe, in the Miles Morales universe, causes all of the different Spider-Man from all the different Spider-Man universes to come together. So you have, in the new trailer, you see Spider-Man Peter Parker, voiced by Jake Johnson from New Girl and Jurassic World and Tag and Let's Be Cops. You have Miles Morales. I can't think of the name of the actor that plays him, and I would butcher it, I think, but it's the actor from Dope, is the voice of Miles Morales, Spider-Man. And then you have Spider-Man Noir, voiced by Nicolas Cage. You have Spider-Gwen, which is a universe, which is a comic where Gwen Stacy becomes Spider-Man.
Oh, cool.
And she has a really cool all-white with the webbing's pink, the outfit, and she has like a white hoodie that can go on, and that's a really cool comic. If you've ever read Spider-Gwen, they've then done Gwenpool, where they turned Gwen Stacy into Deadpool.
Oh, yeah?
They had a big thing about trying to turn Gwen Stacy into different characters. I guess Marvel thought of it almost as their Harley Quinn in a way, of doing like a female popular character. I really like Spider-Gwen, though. It's a really interesting spin on the character. Yeah. And they've done a couple others. I think they did Spider-Girl at one point, which was was Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson's daughter gets powers. Okay. And that's an interesting spin.
I'm sure it is.
And then, of course, Spider-Woman, which is probably...
Yeah, Spider-Woman is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Now, back to Venom. The movie opens this weekend?
Yes. This weekend, along with A Star is Born, starring Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. No, it comes out this weekend. I think it has advanced screenings tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But it starts this week. There's actually some backlash where I've read 2 separate articles. Apparently Lady Gaga fans are like putting fake reviews out for Venom.
Oh,
and
yeah?
Marvel fans are putting out fake reviews for A Star is Born and Lady Gaga albums.
Oh,
and they're fighting with each other already. The movies haven't even come out yet.
Oh, man. Why
So I find that really funny. The embargo, I don't think fully lifted yet. I think it lifts around now for Venom. So the tomato meter should be coming out, the Rotten Tomato score. Early reactions came out last night. Not great. There was one reviewer. I will preface it was one, and a lot of articles keep pushing it as multiple people, but it was one, said that it was like Catwoman, the Halle Berry Catwoman film.
Yeah.
And like the Fan 4 stick. But that was one person. A lot of other ones didn't say it was like that. And a lot of them said all of the actors know they're in a serious, dark superhero movie, except Tom Hardy, who's a cross between Little Shop of Horrors and Jim Carrey in Liar Liar. I'm really excited based on that.
Me too.
Based on that, I'm very... Apparently, the way the Venom symbiote and him have a very antagonistic relationship between Eddie Brock and the symbiote, which is true to the comics, which is very true to the comics, that they have a love-hate relationship similar to the way they portray Hulk and Bruce Banner.
Okay, yeah.
Very similar to that. You know, they really showed that, I feel like, in Ragnarok, where Hulk doesn't like Banner. He doesn't like Banner. He doesn't like Banner's friends. He feels like they don't like him. They do similar stuff with Venom in the comics. And Venom is a evil, antagonistic alien that wants to eat and kill. And he apparently says some very funny insults towards Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock. And Tom Hardy also does the voice of Venom.
I'm very interested in seeing what they came up with Venom. I am. I don't care what the critics say, which is something my son taught me.
Yeah.
Don't go by critics. There's so many movies I haven't seen.
Newsday gave The Departed 2.5 stars and said Jack Nicholson phoned in his performance. That man should turn in his pen and paper.
You'll never forgive them for that review.
He should turn in his pen and paper.
There's one review you should always go by, and that's don't watch The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Never watch The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
No,
Back to the Universal Monsters. They tried to bring him back with this new Universal Dark Universe.
Yeah,
they started with The Mummy and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
They tried multiple times.
With Russell Crowe. Yes, and they tried Dracula Untold.
The Wolfman.
The Wolfman.
Frankenstein. I, Frankenstein.
I, Frankenstein
Helsing.
Wasn't actually Universal, so I, Frankenstein wasn't actually a part of that.
Now, Van Helsing tried to bring them back.
Van Helsing did, and that's a film where, as a 10-year-old, I didn't like that movie.
And now let me tell you.
As a 10-year-old, I didn't like
I thought that Van Helsing had its moments where it could have been really good.
Could have been great.
It could have been great, but there was some parts of it where it was started out as a horror film, but then it turned into some goof. Like somebody with goofiness who had no idea
they had Goofy back there. Goofy and his son made the movie.
Yeah, Goofy made that.
And what's funny about that is the person that gave the reins to that, I could be wrong, but I believe it was Stephen Sommers, who was the director of Mummy and Mummy Returns with Brendan Fraser. So you would think that that's somebody who understands Universal Monsters. He made 2 films in the Universal Monsterverse.
And
he would know how to do
The Mummy movies the first 2 are great. The 2 Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser, I love those movies. They're really good. They did a good job with that Mummy. Because I'll be honest with you, I feel that the Universal Mummy with Boris Karloff was kind of boring to me. Out of all the Universal monster movies, that one's kind of boring.
What, The Mummy?
The Mummy.
The original.
Yeah, the original.
We actually had this conversation earlier about the Mummy films. The best Mummy film is Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it was where they were starting to really use the CGI. They started really getting into CGI, and it's very good. The effects are excellent in the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
And then they spawned 2
Well, no, there's like 4 Scorpion Kings. Is that what you were talking about?
Yes.
There's like 4 Scorpion Kings, only one with The Rock.
The other ones were direct to DVD.
Yes, they were direct to DVD, and they had some different form of backwoods star in them.
I was gonna say, didn't they start making them animated or something?
No, they did an animated Mummy series when we were younger.
Sounds like
and
something
it's
I wouldn't
Mummy.
have watched.
It's after Mummy Returns, and it does have the kid in it. And then there's of course Mummy the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor with Jet Li. And only Brendan Fraser returned and the Jonathan, the brother-in-law.
Then there's the Mummy Ride, also with Brendan Fraser.
Mummy Ride's cool.
It is.
Mummy Ride was a cool ride.
I hope they still have it. There's no reason to replace it.
It's gone. The Fast and the Furious ride's there now.
Oh, okay.
And I watched the YouTube recently.
Brendan Fraser.
Everyone likes my Ryan rants. So recently, and Brian was at Universal Studios, so you may have gone on the Fast and the Furious ride, but I watched the YouTube video of the Fast and the Furious ride, and it looked like the worst ride in the history of Universal attractions. Like, the acting is so bad, and they have the whole cast that's the whole living cast, both in the film universe and in real life, and the acting is so bad. I don't even think The Rock didn't even know he was there, I don't think. I think he thought he was on the phone. He didn't know the camera was on. And it was bad. It was some bad acting. You can skip the Fast and the Furious ride. There's a reason why there's no wait for that one. That's like the Twister ride. When Mom made us go on the Twister ride, she said how great it was. It's not a ride. You just stand there while a fake little Twister thing happens and they move a fake cow. That's it. I had to walk through that. I could have gotten a pretzel. The Blues Brothers were doing a show. You know, every 45 minutes I could have counted the second one. I could have saw another Beetlejuice rock and roll. I don't know why the Beetlejuice was doing rock and roll, but I enjoyed it.
You could have went to the Universal Theater.
I could have went. Yeah, I'm still mad at you because I never got to go see National Treasure 2 in the movie theater at Universal City Walk.
Why didn't we go?
I don't know.
Because we had other things to do?
Yeah, you're like, we don't got time to go to the movies. I'm like, there's always time for movies. What are you talking about? The cinema is alive and well in America.
We went to this resort in the Poconos.
That was the best time I ever had.
We went to this resort in the Poconos, and there was a water park nearby. They were making
talking about that water park. It's my dad's favorite
All right,
water
but
park
anyway,
ever.
wait.
It's his favorite water park.
We're going off track. What I want to get to is our first day there.
There is no track.
And we're in this beautiful mountains. We could do anything there. Ryan finds out that there is a movie theater.
They got a movie theater. It was like $6.
It was cheap. It was cheap, but but it was like a movie theater in a high school. It was in the auditorium.
Oh, Brian says the Mummy Ride's still there. So the Mummy Ride is still there.
Yay!
Yay, Mummy Ride!
Yeah. Don't go see the Mummy with Tom Cruise, but
don't go see Mummy with Tom
Mummy
Cruise,
ride.
but go. That's funny. They made a new Mummy film, but they're like, yeah, the Brendan Fraser ride's cool. We can keep it here.
No one wants a Tom Cruise ride.
No, you want to know why? They would have eventually turned it into a Tom Cruise one. Where Tom Cruise is the mummy and he's spooking you with his ghost mummy thoughts.
If people watch it.
All right, excuse me for a minute. I just want to say hi to everybody that's watching. We got a lot of
talk. Please share and subscribe.
Yes.
By subscribe, I mean like the Strong Island Facebook page.
Benny TV on Strong Island Radio and Television.
On Strong Island Radio and Television.
Amy,
stay tuned for tonight.
Amy Marie Lahr.
Her name is Amanda. Her name is Amanda.
Amanda? Oh, you know her.
Amanda. Yeah. That's Kyle's girlfriend.
Okay, she wrote, Where in the World is Brendan Fraser?
He's got a new show coming out in the DC streaming app. He's in, what's it called? It's,
Asking you shall receive.
No, he's going to be, dang it, what's it called? I wasn't prepared for this.
No one's prepared for a Brendan Fraser.
No, it's Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol, that's what it is.
Oh, yeah, Doom Patrol.
He's going to be the robot man in Doom Patrol, the TV series.
Cool.
So that's what Brendan Fraser's doing. Also, he was on The Affair on Showtime. And from what my parents said, he played a really ugly man.
The Affair? I didn't watch The Affair. Your mother must have watched it.
Yeah, she said you were there.
She thinks I'm there right now.
Probably. Well, the other day.
Hey, Nance.
You can lock the door with your phone now.
Yeah.
And she's locking the door with her phone. And I walk in, the door's wide open. I walk in, and she looks at me and goes, Did you open the door when you walked in? It was locked. And I'm like, the door's not closed. It's wide open.
This guy just
And I was there watching her do it the whole time.
And he didn't say anything. He's a good husband.
I was enjoying it. She's like, I locked the door because she's not looking at the door, right? Her back, the door is to her back.
Oh, it's magic.
So she's going, I locked, because you can hear the sound it makes, electronic. I locked the door. And I'm like, oh, very good. And then Ryan comes in and she says, how'd you get in? The door was locked. Yeah, but it's not closed. All right, so
yeah, Spider-Man and Brendan Fraser.
So Spider-Man, we covered Spider-Man, I think, quite a bit.
I mean, we could talk more about Spider-Man.
Yeah, of course we could.
I got a question. I don't think I ever asked. How do you feel about Venom in the third Spider-Man film?
Oh, that's some hogwash trailer trash right there. Hogwash trailer trash.
He hates the third movie, and he made me take him to see it in the way he had to see it.
Remember the baby? There was a baby crying. And when a guy went to go tell the manager, everyone gave an ovation. The Comac movie theater, which doesn't exist, it's a Lowe's now. Sometimes I like to go sit on one of the riding lawnmowers and imagine a screen.
That's great.
I do it all the time.
It was the first multiplex in our area in Suffolk County.
I snuck in to see Step Brothers there.
Right.
with Richie Hines.
Because
I don't know if he watches the show, but somebody let him know. I gave him a shout out. Sometimes you just get random shout outs from my past.
I want to give a shout out to Bernard Hammerth, who I went
He's
to
always
school
watching
with.
the show.
He's always watching.
Always watching.
And I know him from elementary,
fan
from
of Benny
elementary
TV.
school.
Elementary, my dear
Elementary,
Watson.
my dear Watson.
Speaking
Bernard,
of Watson.
thank you for watching.
Speaking of Watson, there
Go
we
Yankees, Bernard, tomorrow night.
I love these tangents that I do.
Yes.
This is my show. I don't care what my mom says on the comments. This is my show. Don't tell me to go show a film. This is my show, dang
Why
it.
she wrote, go show
Yeah, she's
it.
like, show a film. Time's running quick. No, I call the plays. I call the plays. Annexation of Puerto Rico. No
Playoffs?
Giants.
How about the playoffs?
Playoffs? Playoffs? You talking about playoffs? Playoffs?
Playoffs.
That was a coach, and that was a Bud Light commercial.
Yeah.
I don't remember the actual. You remember the moment where he actually did that. I remember the Bud Light or the Miller Light commercial.
He was
where
the
they used to always do that.
I can't remember his
They used to
name,
always
and
show
forgive
that.
me for not remembering his name, but he was the coach of the Indianapolis Colts.
He was a coach, right? Yeah.
Of the Colts when they had Peyton Manning.
And they weren't good at that time.
They were good in season, but they never won a playoff game.
So he was the coach before Tony Dungy.
Yes.
Okay.
They never won a playoff game with this coach, which they always were out after the first playoff game. I forget his name.
He's like the Lou Piniella of football coaches.
Somebody will.
Or the Marvin
probably-
Lewis. Hello, Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals notoriously always get like 10, 11 wins and then never win a playoff game. So, Holmes and Watson, new trailer, and that also goes in with the reference and the Step Brothers that I snuck into at the Colmac movie theater. See, it's all about these tangents. Holmes and Watson's coming out with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. It is a parody. What are you looking over there? We're having a conversation. What are you doing? You saw a bug? There was a flying cookie
I saw
monster.
a giant ant.
It was a giant ant. Them.
It was them.
It was them.
Need a flashlight.
All right.
Yeah,
so-
we're gonna need a bigger boat. We're gonna need a bigger show. So Holmes and Watson's coming out, where it's a parody version in vein of Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother, your favorite.
Yes, Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother. You can't beat it. I'm sorry, you can't beat that movie.
And it's Sherlock Holmes is Will Ferrell, and Watson is played by John C. Reilly, and I think it looks hilarious.
Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother with Gene Wilder, Marty Feldman, and Madeline Kahn. They jumped ship from Young Frankenstein to this movie. If you loved Young Frankenstein, you
Start
will
talking
love.
about the other one. He just starts talking about
Yeah,
that
yeah, I did that on purpose. Just want you to know I
You
did
just
that.
ruin shows. You just walking around ruining. You and my mother, just like you know, one of these days I'm gonna send you away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe a show in like 2 weeks. I'm just gonna send you guys away.
And you're gonna do your
I'm
own-
gonna do my own show. I'm gonna send you away
Without me
to
on
a
it.
far off place.
Listen,
and
for
I'm gonna
people
send
who
you
watch
off.
this show,
You get like a fake
they
wedding.
know you locked me in a trunk
I
already.
locked you in a trunk for an hour and
And
a
you
half.
told me there was a wedding in Brooklyn on a Tuesday. And I drove to Brooklyn. There, what wedding on a Tuesday?
Oh, I signed you up for the fish. I signed you up for the fish.
You know what? Say a couple of things and then let's show a couple of clips.
The Sherlock Holmes and Watson movie looks great. That also comes out on Christmas. We got a stacked Christmas coming out. We got that, the Spider-Man movie. I think it looks really good. Braun Strowman, WWE superstars in it. There's some really funny jokes in the trailer. It might not be great, but I love Step Brothers. I love Talladega Nights. John C. Reilly is a gem.
I love Talladega Nights.
So
Should be
I think
fun.
it's going to be great. So, any final thoughts before I
Yeah,
run
come
away?
on, Kyle. Yeah,
I
man.
think that'll be fun. I think that's going to be a great movie when
All
that
right.
comes out.
All right, cool.
I have opinions about that movie, and when it comes out, I'll have even more.
So we're gonna cut to a trailer for the original House on Haunted Hill,
Oh, cool.
which there is a Netflix show coming out that I think comes out in the next week or two, which is already has like 100% Rotten Tomatoes House on Haunted Hill TV series.
Oh, wow.
And we're gonna show the original,
Yeah.
and maybe you talk about the Owen Wilson one nobody likes.
No, no. You can't beat Vincent Price.
That is true.
Roll 'em.
Okay,
Roll him.
roll the clip. I'm gonna slide away into existence.
Vincent Price, and you're invited to my party in the house on Haunted Hill, where so far the ghosts have murdered only 7 people. So won't you come and make it 8? You'll see human heads without bodies. Mysterious pools of blood dripping from the ceiling. The walls move slowly in against you. Don't try to escape, you can't. You ready, dear?
No.
Are you ready, dear?
Yes, damn you.
The ghosts are waiting, so won't you join me in the house on Haunted Hill? Hurry, or you'll be late for your own funeral.
Count Dracula sleeps in this coffin, but rises every night at sunset. Chick is right. This is awful silly stuff.
Come on, take it all out.
No! Look out, Chick! Cover up! Samantha, cover up! Wait a minute.
The nation's top comics, Abbott and Costello. Petrified, but hilariously. Plus the dangerous and terrifying Wolfman, played by Lon Chaney. Plus that fiend out of a nightmare, the vampire Batman, Count Dracula, played by Bela Lugosi. Plus the most dreaded creature of them all, the Frankenstein monster, played by Glenn Strange. Plus a couple of luscious but designing females in the spookiest laugh fest on record.
Terror stalks the streets of London. The most dreaded monster of them all strikes again, and panic sweeps the city. But 2 men of intrepid daring fight back. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, co-starring Boris Karloff, twice as menacing as ever. Terror becomes turmoil, and the laughs get terrific when Bud and Lou trap the beast among a bevy of beauties and get lost in a house of horrors that would frighten even Frankenstein.
Come on, come on! Come on, we can catch the monster. Give me a hand. Come on.
It'll scare you right out of your theater seat. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. An uproarious riot from beginning to end.
And that was some classic movies. We
Classic
showed
horror.
classic horror, House on Haunted Hill, which is, I think, that's still the best. You can't beat Vincent Price in a horror film. Classic Abbott and Costello, Meet Frankenstein, and Abbott and Costello.
Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Which I think are the 2 best of their Universal.
I think when they meet the Invisible Man, I think that's the.
I'm not that crazy about that one.
I think it adds some interesting gags.
And it was originally, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein was originally going to be titled The Brain of Frankenstein.
Was it really?
Yes, but then they realized, hey, we could take Abbott and Costello and utilize the fact that they're on this film and make it that way. And Costello originally didn't like the script, but then he warmed up to it, and they had a lot of fun they actually had pie throwing fights, and they did a lot of stuff. They even had another comedian that would give them laughs to keep everybody going, but they didn't throw pies at the people in makeup. They respected the people in makeup.
That's good. It seemed like they had a lot of fun making that movie.
But originally, he didn't like the script. He said that his 5-year-old daughter could write a better script. But they said once they were on the set, then he warmed up to it and got into it. I have a stand-up comedy show coming up this Saturday night, and it's in Farmingville. That's in Suffolk County, Long Island. Farmingville, the Monarch Lounge. And here are 3 former co-hosts, people that are co-hosts on this show often. That's Nigel Fullerton, John Santo, and the very lovely Jessica Colazzo. Very funny and lovely. All 3 people are very funny. I will be hosting it.
That should be a lot of
Me,
fun.
Benny Gagoots Rizzuti, I'll be hosting the show. So you see what you have to look forward to. Maybe one day you'll be on a show with me, Kyle.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that for your sake, that you feel the need to.
No, I'm kidding. But no, this is. I hope you can make it to. This is a very fun show.
I'd love to. I definitely would love to make it.
All right. You're not going to Comic-Con this weekend?
No, I'm actually not.
All right.
I'll be in the city, but I won't be at Comic-Con.
Okay. Anyway, so please try to come out to the Monarch Lounge if you can. It's only $10. No minimum. There's usually like a 2-item. There's no minimum. $10. It's a really cool lounge. Great sound system. It's a lot of fun. Thank you all for watching. Everybody on Facebook, thank you for watching. Kyle, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for everyone watching.
You'll come back again. I want to give a shout out to Ryan Rizzuti, who was always a lot of fun on the show. Thank you all. Have a great week.
Take care.
Okay, take it easy. Thank you for watching Benny TV on Strong Island Radio and Television.com. Don't go away, because Laughter Saves Lives Live is next.